go. Good day, my students. Welcome to week 2 of our lesson. This week, I'm going to take you through the basic rudiments of application development. We are starting from scratch to the end. At the end of today's lecture, you'll be able to develop a fully functional application. I remain Samuel Fadipe, your course facilitator. Thank you.
You are welcome to week 2 of our lesson on Introduction to Visual Basic Programming. In lesson 2, you'll be writing your first functional application. What are the objectives to be achieved in this lesson? First, we'll be creating a new project, and from there we'll design our user interface, and then we proceed further to enhance the functionality of the interface by designing or writing the code behind the interface, and finally we run our application. So let's start by first creating a new project. Short video on creating new projects. To create a new project, click on your start button, then Microsoft Visual Studio. Now we are at the start page right away. Last week we discussed briefly on the Visual Studio environment. Today we are going ahead to start a new project. And to start a new project, you can either click on the new project link on the start page, or you go to File, then New Project. Either of the way, you will get a new project dialog box. Here is the new project dialog box displayed. So in today's lesson, we are going to create a picture viewer application. So I'm going to give my picture viewer, my new project, a name: Picture View App. So if you look at this window, you have the install template Visual Basic to your left, Windows, so it means we are developing a window-based application. So if you look at this window, you have window form application, window presentation format application, console application, and the like. But if you are not using Visual Basic, if you want to use other languages, you can actually come to other languages and use either C#, C++, F#, or the ones that is available in your Visual Studio. So they have similar project types: Window, Web, Office, Cloud. So if you go to your Visual Basic, you also see similar things: Window, Web, Office, Cloud, Reporting, SharePoint. So these are the project types that you can have. So the location, already I have a location created, ODLRI, under my software application student project 2018, like that. So the solution name is Visual Picture View App. So to create the new project, let me click OK. So the system is now creating my picture viewer app. We now have our picture viewer app created. So that is the first lesson, in the first video in this lesson. In the next video, we will proceed further to do the design of our user interface and the setting of the property. Well, we've seen in the last video how to create our project. Now the next thing we are going to do is to design the interface, and when I say interface, that is what the end user relates with. In designing our interface, we have to take into cognizance some things. The first of it is placing control on your form. If you go back to the previous video, you recollect that when you are creating your project, a form was automatically created for you. So that form is like the base that every other object you are going to be relating with will be placed on. Then those objects too has properties that needs to be modified, their colors, their titles, their functionalities and the likes. Then you should also understand that objects are classified by types. You're welcome back. In this video, we'll be designing the user interface for our picture view app. Before we continue with the design, let me tell you that almost everything you will be working with in Visual Basic is an object. The form that was automatically created for you, the controls, button, checkbox that will be placing on the forms are all objects. There are many types of objects, and objects are classified by types. Form is an example of an object, as well as combo box, button, list box and the likes. They are all examples of objects. Also note that some objects have physical appearance, while others exist only in codes. Now, to design our user interface properly, we must change certain properties of our objects. Let's start with the form objects. So we click the property window, and here we can access all the properties of this form object. The first property we are going to change is the name property, and I am going to name my form FRM picture viewer. Other properties that I'll be changing will include the background color for my picture viewer, and I choose a color of my choice. Also, the title of the form, which I call picture viewer app. Now, I will also need to adjust the size. As you can see, I only select the edge and I drag to adjust to my face. I can also come here and type in the values that I want for the form. So we have set the properties for the form. For our picture viewer application, we will need button, 2 of them, placed on the form. I have 2 buttons. Then I also need a picture box. I also need a picture box. Now I have 2 buttons and a picture box. For my picture box, I will change the name property to pick show picture, and my buttons to btn select picture and the other one to btn exit. Now I have changed the name properties of these two buttons, but it's still showing button 1, button 2. Now to change the text displayed here, I'll go to my text property and give it the proper labeling. Select picture, then exit. Another property I want to change is now there are some properties common to them that you can change simultaneously by highlighting the two, or you select the two, and that property, the properties that are common that you can select will be displayed. You can see that the name properties have disappeared. Some other properties too will disappear. So I want to change the appearance. So I choose pop-up. So pop-up means anytime I hover my mouse over it, then the display it will come up. The last property, the last control I'm going to place on this form is a non-visual form, so that doesn't have a physical appearance, and that form is that component is a file, open file dialog. Open file dialog. So if I place it anywhere here, it will just go down. So select it and give it the proper name, OFD select picture. Then for the name property, I will select, no, let me just leave it like that. So I'll see you in the next video.
Well, that's wonderful. You can see how easy it is to design our user interface. So in the next thing we are going to do is to write codes for our application. You see, the interface we have designed remains an interface. It's like a car that has been beautifully designed but doesn't have an engine to power it. So the codes is actually the one that gives those interfaces the power to function. And after writing the codes, the next thing we are going to do is to run our application, and that is executing the codes that we have written. So at the end, you writing the application and running it will now tie up everything to make it function. You're welcome back. This is the third and final video for lesson 2. In this video, we'll be writing code behind the scene and also run our application. Now, to make this application to be functional, we have to write code for it. Now, to select our picture, we need a code that we'll use in selecting picture. Now, to write a code for it, we need to fire the click event of this button. Every object on this form has event attached to it. Like for buttons now, we have click event, double click event, mouse over, mouse stop, and the like. Same with form. So for our form, for our button, the default event is click. So when I double click on it, it will take me to the code window. Now we are here. So I'm going to write code for this event, click event. You can see handle click event. So now I already copied the code in clipboard. Let me just paste here. So this is the code that we need, and I will explain. Once you click on that button,
it will fire this select picture dialog, and when you now select the picture from your system, it will now move that picture from the file on your system and display it in the show picture object we have on our form. Then this text will be displayed, which is the file name for that picture. So this is the code that we are actually working with. Now, to exit our application, we double click on this too and just simply type me.close, and that will effectively close the form. Now, before I proceed, there is a property that I need to set for the picture box, and that property is size mode. So for the picture size modes, we have normal, stretch, auto size, center image, zoom. So I'll select stretch image. What that simply means that even if the picture you are importing is larger than this window, it will just resize it to fit into this window. But if you choose the normal, you may have abnormality. Then zoom will zoom an image that is small and blow it up. So let's select stretch. Now that we are through with our design, the next thing is to run our application. And to run means to implement it. To do that, you go to build solution. That will compile our code. Or for a fast one, just click on this start debug button, or you press the F5 on your keyboard. So let's run this application now and see how it works. Now if you look at this here, you see that it's building the application. The building is now successful, and it will now launch our application. Congratulations, we have just finished building our application. Now to test if our application is working, to design, so select picture, so the open dialog box is loading. Now on your screen, so now that the dialog box is open, then you navigate to where your picture is, select the appropriate picture. I think I like this. So when you click on open, the image will be displayed, and that is it. We can see that we have built a functional application, and this is your course facilitator smiling at you. Now that we are sure that our select picture is functioning very fine, so the next thing is to exit our application. So when you click on the exit button, the application closes and it takes you back to your Visual Studio environment. That will be all for now. I hope you have learned how we have done all these things, starting from when you created your project, the designing of your interface, the writing of code behind your interface, and running of the application. I hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. So in summary, we have learned a few things, and one of the things we learned is how to create a project
And we built our project from start to finish by designing the interface, by changing the characteristics of objects placed on forms, by writing codes that give action to our objects, the controls like the button, like the file selector, like our picture box, so that give life to it. And at the end of the day, we're able to run our application and we see that it's functional. So in summary, the totality of developing an application begins with the planning, designing, the code behind the interface, and finally compiling and running your application. Thank you. God bless you.